Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. And as you heard, we've ran our special British introduction, which we keep reserved for all of our friends across the Atlantic Ocean. Yes, that one. Make sure that I get them straight in my head, because I get twisted around sometimes. When you get old, you'll understand that. And I had no map to look at. I'm going off memory here. If I didn't write things down, I don't know what I would forget. Oh, see, wrote things down. And I just remembered that while we're doing this tonight, talking with Aria Black about the adventures of Tailless in outer space, we are going to be also taking entries in our giveaway. We are going to be giving away a digital, not this box, I'm sorry, no, a digital code for Snowpiercer Season 1. Now, Season 2 just premiered last night on Netflix, so the second season is out there. If you want to catch up, want your own copy, Season 1, we have the digital code. It's right here. I'm not going to put it up there quick enough for you to copy it. But there is a link in the description right below here. The first link is, of course, to the sign-up sheet for Tailless. But the second link will be for entering this giveaway. We hope that you'll all participate in that and jump in, and we will pull a winner at the end of the show, and we will then contact you, hopefully via Twitter, someplace easy where we'll just give you the digital code that way, and you're off to the races. So now, without any further ado, we have Mr. Aria Black. How are you today?
How's it going, everyone? I'm good. I'm really good. I'm tired because it's like crazy o'clock in the morning over here, but I'm good.
It's going to be that way for the next 6 months if you keep this up. Now, you know that, right?
It's going to be a tough 6 months, but you know, it's fun at the same time. I love coming on these shows.
And then it really gets busy.
Do you know what I really love? I love this neon Tailless sign you have going on here. It's awesome.
I'll be happy to give it to you. I'll send it to you through email or something. I try to come up with something for everybody. Sometimes it's not possible. With yours, you had the logo available. I'm like, well, yeah, steal it, use it.
You know what? That sort of neon effect is perfect. That's perfect Tailless theme. I love that.
Well, I'll make sure you get it. I use PowerPoint. I do everything in PowerPoint.
Oh man, I heard you on last night's stream saying how PowerPoint's the program you use, and I used to be in that exact same situation before I discovered Photoshop, where I became a bit of a wizard on PowerPoint because that's all I had to use to do any sort of photo editing.
Yeah, well, what's the old saying? If the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly.
But yeah, I've done like 10-minute animated cartoons in PowerPoint.
No way.
Using just the animation tools and the sequencing. Yeah, just like little South Park characters, and I would like, okay, this is one mouth. Make it appear, make it flash, make it do this, and different mouths, and then I would overlay audio on it and sync it up, and yeah, it worked great. And it was easy as hell.
I used to design like posters and logos for bands, and most of the guys thought I was doing it proper professionally, but I was going on PowerPoint and just using basic JPEGs and transforming tools and all that.
Yeah, it's a very underrated tool, I think. So, how many comics have you worked on, Aria? Is this your first one, or?
Right. The Adventures of Tailless in Outer Space is the book I created to learn how to draw comics. So the way I've developed the project is through launching individual mini comics. So the first one I launched about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was a 6-pager. Since then, I've released a total of 4 mini comics. So there's a 6-pager and then three 8-pagers. And I'm working on the next 2 currently.
So is this book going to be a compilation of all of those into a single adventure then?
Yeah, so this collection that I've got going on Indiegogo right now is the Tailless Collected Edition. So you're going to receive all 6 mini comics of Tailless. That's all the content that has ever been created for Tailless in one deluxe collected edition. On top of that, there's a lot of bonus content that we can get into in a bit.
Well, I'm going to. I've got the screen here ready to share, and I do have it there. This is, of course, just the sign up page because there's not a proper launch yet for the rest of it, and that's what's going to be coming down the road in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
But as I tell everyone, when these things exist, sign up for them because it's not just that you get notified, but and I don't know if maybe I'm going to put words in your mouth and say that you're planning as well as everyone else does that if you sign up for this, you get something special when you're the person who backs it, right?
You're going to get something really cool, which I want to show you for the first time on this stream.
You heard it here first, folks. This is going to be an exclusive. So yes, if you sign up, here's how you do this. You click in here, you put in your email address, you check this little box right here, and then you click sign up. It's as easy as that. I've already done my click back to them to let them know I'm authorized, so they know to take my email from now on. I've not my first rodeo, as they say in some places. So this is the complete Tailless collection. If you're a fan of Saturday morning cartoons like Thundercats, Transformers, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then you will love Tailless. Now, is this Tailless?
That's the man himself, Tailless, or rather the cat himself.
With no tail.
The 6-foot-tall, spandex-clad intergalactic vigilante known as Tailless.
Does he come from the Isle of Manx?
He comes from somewhere deep in outer space.
Okay. I just knew that Tailless cats were Manx cats from the Isle of Man. I didn't know if you were pulling from there or not. So these are cool. Are they going to be in color?
Oh, yeah, full color. The thing with these Tailless books is everything is done by myself. So the writing, the illustrating, the coloring, the lettering, everything, I've done it all.
Good. So you've only got yourself to blame, right?
Exactly.
I like the style. We don't get enough of this, cartoony style for anthropomorphism. Everyone's trying to go, everyone's trying to go 90s again with the pouches and the muscles and the eyepieces and metal arms. If Rob Liefeld had trademarked everything that he did in the 90s, he'd be making a killing off of crowdfunding right now.
I think he would.
So you've got the 6 mini comics, which will be bound together. And if I did the math right, that's what it's 32. You got about a 40-page book there.
Yeah.
Roughly.
At that point, yes.
Plus, there's going to be some bonus material. You're going to have a deep dive into the creation. How did that creation go? How long has Tailless been sitting in your head before you sat down to finally draw him up?
Right. So, firstly, when I say you're going to get a deep dive into the creation of Tailless, I really mean that because I happen to own every single drawing, every single sketch, every single scribble I've ever created that has led to the development of Tailless over a span of about 8 years now.
So we're going to go back all the way to like 8th grade then.
Not quite. Every single thing.
6th form?
See, in the UK, it was when I was in college I came up with this guy. So I believe that's high school for you Americans.
All right.
So,
17, 18.
Yeah, it was about 17, I think, when I came up with this character.
And it's going to have pinups. You get a 7th mini comic if you unlock it at a goal.
You see, that's the big one, the 7th mini comic. As soon as we hit full funding on this campaign, we will unlock the 7th mini comic, and that's a very special one because that is going to be the mini comic that introduces the first proper full-length Tailless story, which will be my next campaign. So you're going to want to get this book funded because it's at this point we're going to start the Tailless story proper. Now,
the mini comics that you had done before, were they short stories or were they chapters of an ongoing?
Yeah, they were short anthology-style stories, so they don't connect to each other. What you're going to get is in each issue is a totally different Tailless adventure. In each one, there's a lot of action, and they're going to face off against a new and ever more dangerous bad guy in each issue.
Gotcha. And they're all, are there any standard human characters in in these adventures, or are they all different interplanetary animals?
Oh yeah, think of it kind of like Star Wars, this universe, in that there's humans there, but and Tailless is just one of the many races of aliens out there. He just happens to look like a cat.
Yeah, sort of like a Jackson in Star Wars. He just happens to look like a green rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's humans in there. The bad guy, for example, they face in mini comic number 2, named the Gunslinger, who's a gigantic cowboy type human character who has the ability to change his arms into blades and guns and all sorts of nasty weapons. And then again, for example, issue 3, Tailless faces off against my parody of the Incredible Hulk, the Abominable Yeti, who also has the alter ego of Bruce Banner, obviously another human.
Yes. Speaking of Hulk, I'm looking at this. I'm realizing that this is an evolutionary montage of Tailless pictures here.
Oh, yeah.
And this first one, I'm trying to remember who he reminds me of, but there was an animated cartoon series, probably in the 60s, where the cat looked like this, and it was way before Top Cat. I'm old. I remember a lot of this stuff. I just don't remember specifics now. I know who I'm thinking of. Klondike Cat.
I've never heard of Klondike Cat.
Oh, you've got to look up. Klondike Cat was a Canadian Mountie, and
Right.
he was always looking for this mouse, little mouse villain called Savoir Faire, and and the mouse almost always got away, but he always kind of got caught in the end. He never did anything super villainy, but it was like, Savoir Faire is everywhere.
I've just brought him up on Google. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, of course I know this guy.
I didn't know if you'd seen him over there or not, but I watched a lot of cartoon television when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I have like a DVD with like old cartoon compilations on there. I know this guy's on there. I've seen him before.
But yeah, it's interesting seeing him change, and he definitely hulks out at the end of evolutionary chain here.
For sure. So I'll tell you the story about how Tailless got started. So I've always been into art. I've known ever since I was a little kid that I was going to be a comic book artist one day. And obviously that's the route I pursued through school, is I was doing all the art courses and everything. So I go to college eventually, and for some unknown reason, I decided to take alongside art, mathematics and science and computer science. And for those out there who know me, they know I cannot do mathematics. It is not my forte at all. I stumped at anything above tricky multiplication, right? So anyway, I find myself at about 17 years old. I've sort of fluffed my way through the year, just getting by on passing grades, and I find myself sat at the end of the year in the exam hall, and I've got this mathematics paper in front of me. I open it up. Question 1, I have no idea how to answer it. It's complete gibberish to me. Question 2, same problem. I can't answer a single question in this maths paper.
Oh.
So I'm sat there with an hour or so to go, nothing to do. I flip the book over, start drawing on the back. And that, I decided to draw this cat in a helmet, spandex, and he's got this laser gun. And that was the first drawing of Tailless ever. And that is the only drawing of Tailless that will not be in this collection, because that drawing was binned at the end of the exam along with all the other papers. So
we don't get to flip it over and see your failing marks on the exam.
Oh God, I didn't get a single mark on that test. I didn't answer one question, but it led to Tailless, and that's the important point.
Yes. Out of every defeat, there's a little victory to be had.
Exactly. So what you're seeing on screen there is the second ever drawing of Tailless. That little scribbly white drawing there. That's the second ever drawing of Tailless, because I sort of later on in the school year thought I had an art project to do, and I thought, oh, I remember that cat I drew on the maths test. I'll bring that back and use that as my art project this year. So I brought it back, And originally the idea was to do like a newspaper strip style comic with him. And obviously you could see he looked very different back then. He was skinny for one thing. And I was going to write him to be a very like quippy, funny character, like a funny animal comic. But then as I got older, my taste changed. And the general theme has stayed the same. He's an intergalactic outlaw, spandex clad, fights bad guys in outer space. But then as I got older, my taste in comic book changed. I discovered artists like Arthur Adams and books like The Sensational She-Hulk, which is like my favorite book ever. And then eventually I discovered Comicsgate and the books of like the superhero books of the 90s, like Spawn and all that. And Tailless warps into this super muscle-bound He-Man style character that just happens to look like this crazy cat in outer space.
Now, was Comicsgate your exposure to crowdfunding comics, or did you already know that there were crowdfunded comics and then Comicsgate came after that?
So I was actually I watched your boy Zach and I watched Ethan for ages, and I kept hearing them bring up the term Comicsgate, and for like way too long I just ignored it. And then I believe it was at the point when Ethan launched the line art variants for his first Cyberfrog campaign that I cottoned on that something was happening. I'd look into it, and then everything just clicked into place. I was like, yeah, Comicsgate, that's the way forward. And that was obviously like a year or so before I made my first Tailless comic. And it was sort of a wake-up call because once I found out about Comicsgate, I kicked myself into gear and decided, right, I'm going to draw my first comic, and that ended up Tailless mini comic number 1.
And then, you found obviously a group of CG UK folk, which is sort of a, not the Splinter group, it's just another franchise.
Yeah.
Do you get to, because of course UK is so much smaller than the US, y'all live next door to each other, I understand. But do you ever get to actually meet up with any of the CG UK folk? Or is it still all sort of online like most of it is here?
Right. Actually, I'm sort of new to the CG group. I'm one of the young bloods there. I've sort of only popped up within the past 6 months to a year. So that's been pandemic times, obviously. So no one's been able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And currently, I'm one of only 2 members of CG UK who reside in Wales. That's myself and People Circus. So CG Wales is 2 people strong so far. And then we've got a bunch in England. We've got a pretty sizable amount in Scotland as well. So we're spread out a fair bit.
Good deal. I was going to say I trace back to Wales, but I've forgotten how. So it was on my mother's side.
Oh yeah.
It was like Price, and then became App Rice, and I'm like, oh, there was something in Welsh where it was always App this and App that, and then they made a law that says no, you can't call yourself after your father's name anymore. You keep the name you got, and App Rice became Price, and it just kind of. It's funny how the words change just because either people can't spell or they mishear how you say it.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm actually originally from Mexico. I was born in Monterrey in Mexico. I have a Mexican father and a Welsh mother, and then when I was about 3 years old, we moved to Wales, and then along came my brother. So I have a perfectly 50-50 split. Myself and my father are Mexican. My brother and my mother are Welsh born. And yeah, I've been living in Wales ever since I was about 3 years old now.
So do you speak much Spanish?
Not. I understand a lot more Spanish than I speak, so they don't get away in the house mugging me off behind my back in Spanish. So
I could learn Spanish a lot easier than I could learn Welsh because I've heard both of them, and one of them's an alien language, and the other one has good food. So
exactly. I think you got that right.
So I first saw you on Don Chin's channel.
Oh, yeah.
I think before I threw the invite out, said, "Hey, we gotta get you over here and talk." How did you and Don get hooked up? Because I'm guessing he probably saw the style of your art here, and that marries up really well with what he likes to do with Parody Press. Did you find him, or did he find you?
I sort of knew about Don Chin, obviously because of the hamsters. I heard his name before, and I was just watching his streams like anyone else. So I just shot him a message on Twitter when I launched this sign up page, and we sorted out a date, got on his channel. But yeah, see, something like the hamsters, that's right up my alley. That's the sort of book I like, because obviously that's a parody of the Ninja Turtles, and in much the same way, Tailless is derived from the Ninja Turtles, in that I was inspired by those classic cartoons, the sort of buddy team up aspect,
It looks like it's going to be a very fun book. I want to deviate from here for just a second. I want to look at this other campaign I've been pushing out here. Folks in the chat, this is on Kickstarter. I know that it's the other side of the tracks. We don't like those people. It's the sharks and the jets kind of thing. This is Omni #1. It is at 2110 out of 2,500 with 51 hours to go. The reason I'm showing this is because if you've run a campaign in Aria, you're going to run into this yourself when you start your campaign up in earnings. The last week is when you've really got to get in and push things. This guy is in his last week, and starting his last week, he's put in the hospital. So he is not available to do his push. He's $390 away from hitting goal. So I'm just kind of reminding everybody, if you can get in there and do something on it. I think it's got like a $5 digital tier. It's a $10 comic if you just take the basic physical. So anything anybody can do. I'm getting nothing from it. I don't even know the guy. It's just I know people who know him. They put it out there, and I'm like, if I were doing this and I was in the hospital, that would just suck, because it is Kickstarter. You don't have the flexible goal like you do on Indiegogo. If he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. He's got to start over. And I'd much rather he get out of the hospital and come home and find out that his project is done and waiting for him to move forward on it. So that's my public service announcement on that one. If anybody can find Omni, in fact, I'll just.
Okay, guys, you heard the man. Let's help this guy out. He obviously needs a hand. Let's share Omni around. Let's get some eyeballs on it.
I'll put the link here in the chat. Normally, I would be directing everybody to your campaign, but since you don't have a campaign up for money yet, we'll when yours is up there taking funds as well. And I'll get back to Tailless now. We'll go back and check that in a little bit. Why is my mouse not rolling anymore? There we go. Boy, I've got to clean my mouse or something. It used to be you had to, there used to be a manual on the care and cleaning of mouse balls. But I think
are you still operating with a ball?
No. My mouse is castrated, so. But I don't know why it's slowing down on me here. I think maybe the battery's dying. I might put one of these new batteries in it after the show. So what do you have? Do you have anything done that you can show?
Yeah, I've got some things I can share with you if you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see.
Yeah, I tell you what. I'll show you some of the artwork from the book.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to cover our faces up with the thumbnail that I did make from the graphic that I grabbed from somewhere. Because there's Tailless, and first of all, there's an American flag in there, which is really kind of strange that, because there's a CG UK. And secondly, there's not Daredevil in the foreground. So I definitely want to ask if that has anything to do with the comics coming up, or if that was just a montage that was made because, hey, CG UK, and we're all doing stuff here.
Right. This is a very special piece. Like on the campaign.
Oh, look, it's the same one.
Here we go. On the campaign, you can see on the first image that there's 4 currently released mini comics that are going to be included in the collection, plus 2 bonus comics. Okay. One of those bonus comics is the very special Tailless, not Daredevil, CG UK crossover book. So it's got. I don't have a picture of the full art to show you, but it's on my Twitter. It's on Instagram. That's Aria_blackness. You can find me there. You can find the full image because in the background of this, there's all other CG UK characters. It's a huge montage piece. But the main attraction is this is the wraparound cover for a Tailless, not Daredevil crossover mini comic, which is one of the ones included in the collection.
So that obviously would happen on Earth.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's not. It's not on Earth actually. It's. I'll give you the setting. It's a seedy space spa.
Gotcha. Now, did you were you working with Comic Mark on this mini comic, or had you done this before?
Oh yeah. So this is the story is going to be written by Comic Mark, and I'm the illustrator.
Very, very nice. I like Daredevil. I like not Daredevil too. I think it's a shame that they lost the right to use the name, and they had to come up with that whole death-defying devil business, as well as not Daredevil. No spoilers. Yes, okay, Comic Mark. We
won't go any further on that. I really like drawing not Daredevil though. It's obviously he's got that split color scheme, which means you can draw super heavy blacks on the blue side and then lighten it up on the red side. It's quite fun to draw.
Now, is he fully bisected, or does he like go down halfway and then switch at the legs?
Yeah. So he's red and blue. Then you get to his waist, which is a really spiky belt, and then red and blue, but on the opposite side for his trunks. And then his leggings are red and blue, but again on the opposite side.
Okay, and then you got all the boomerangs, of course.
Oh yeah, and the boomerangs.
I can't wait to get my not Daredevil because I want to see. I know that he's repurposing the Golden Age art. So yes, the not Daredevil gang of hooligans will be following him around because Daredevil. I forget what his. Yeah, it was a thing in the Golden Age that like every street level hero had like his Baker Street irregulars. There was always the Newsboy Legion or some such.
Oh yeah,
and Daredevil had his own where it was they were just kids. they were orphans living on the street. And the hero, is like, yeah, I could take you into my house and feed you and give you warm beds, but I'd much rather use you in my war on crime. So it's more important that you stay out here in the gutters and sleep. All the little wise guys. Thank you, Comic Mark. Yes, you're not Daredevil. Probably better than Gail Simone does right now.
Yeah.
So we talked before the show, and you said that you're looking at probably launching 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to ask the hard question. Since the book is the compilation of the mini comics that you've already done, what the fuck, dude? What are you waiting at?
So currently we have issues 1 through 4 are complete. Obviously, all the bonus section content, that's all there. Currently, I'm drawing the Tailless Not Daredevil crossover. On top of that is mini comic number 6. And then on top of that is the special mini comic number 7, providing we get that funded. So there's still content to be drawn for the book, but it's all well within my time frame. By the time this campaign finishes funding, everything will be ready.
So there's a lot still to do, and I admire the fact that when you do launch, it's going to be, if not done, then 95% done.
Oh yeah. So this campaign, backers are going to receive the product quickly, and also at a very easy entry point as far as the price goes.
And if we're very fortunate, the American market will be able to buy it without having to spend an arm and a leg on shipping. But
I think the American market are going to love this.
I had a thought in my head, now I lost it. I hate when that happens. I told you, I don't even have bullet points when I go into these things. I'm just like, wherever the conversation leads us, there we go.
Listen, man, I like your style. Just go with the flow.
That's all this, man. If I had a beer, I'd be drinking that, but I don't right now. I will start doing that next month, I think. I'm going to be in an apartment next month. I'll have a whole new background and a backdrop. So
Awesome.
we'll have fun with that. You had mentioned you wanted to show something earlier. I don't know if this was it or not.
Oh, yes, I'll throw that up on screen now.
This is the exclusive first appearance.
Oh, bear with, that's the wrong one.
Oh.
Same thing again. Bear with.
I won't put it up until you've confirmed that it's the right thing to put up.
There we go. That's the one.
All right.
Right.
Full screen
So,
here. Blow it up.
I'm sure we've all heard of Chubb, as in the guy, the mastermind behind the Mary Boys.
Yes!
So tonight, he just turned this in to me. And obviously, Tailless, Mary Boys crossover. How cool is that? I love this rendition of Tailless. He looks so grungy. I think it's awesome. So what I'm going to reveal for you today is that this is the perk when you sign up to the campaign. You're going to receive this crossover artwork on a trading card and a fold-out poster when you sign up to my campaign.
So you're going to get this on a card and on a poster, the folded poster, so that it's, I'm guessing the folded size is going to be like a comic book, and then unfolded, obviously double that size.
Oh yeah, we're going to go, standard poster size, A2, maybe a bit bigger. I don't know what that is in inches or anything.
Here we go. A2, A4, all that.
There we go.
So okay, now I'm going to ask, the comic you're planning, is it going to be comic book size like the American comics, or is it going to be A4 size like a magazine size?
Oh yeah, all Tailless comics are going to be standard American size comics. They just because that's the sort of books I grew up on. That's the sort of books I love. What you're going to get with this book in particular is going to be a decent chunky book. Providing we fulfill the 7th mini comic, that's going to be approximately 50 pages of story alone, plus approximately the same amount in bonus content.
Well, wait a second. Now that's 100 pages, Aria.
There's a lot of pages.
That's a hefty book.
Like I said, I have every single drawing and scribble of Tailless I have ever created. Everything is going to be in this book.
Well, yeah, and thank you for making it a regular size instead of that A4. We fought your metric system for 40 years.
That does my head in, the UK British style of comics, because they don't fit in my comic boxes. I have to slide them in with the graphic novels, and they don't belong there.
And they make A4 size boxes. You just don't find them at your comic shop because nobody asks for them.
Exactly.
I had to special order boxes for digests, and I ended up not doing it because I'm like, no, it's just not worth it. But outside the door to this office here, how I self-aggrandize where I'm at. Toys R Us was a chain store around here, and they went bankrupt nationwide. So we went in there on their going out of business days, and they were selling the fixtures and the furnishings and everything. We got one of these double-sided A-frame book racks. So it's like 3 shelves on each side. It's just all white metal wireframe. And it is filled on one side with Archie Comics digests all the way across and all the way through thick. Because my son, that's his jam. He's an Archie guy. But when he puts them, away in boxes to carry, before we had this, is like they don't fit anywhere nice and neat and snug. They're always, shifting around in the box and falling over. So
I know, exactly. It does my head in. British. That's the one thing British comics don't do right, is the sizing.
Well, and it's not like we don't have A4 size books here. I mean, I've got. Still keeping up with the tradition of anything I want to talk about is always within reach. I mean, we have A4 size books here. I've got these Destroyer magazine size books. This eerie reprint. And, and the reason they're sitting out in arm's reach is because they don't fit in my box. I can't put them away. The one thing's like, well, why don't you put those away? And I'm like, I'd buy a box that fits them, but there's only 5 of them. So
exactly, I don't have enough to justify buying a box.
I'd have to go out and buy a whole bunch of A4 sized comic books to fill my box up. And if you want to, yeah, sure, okay, I will. I'd love to get a run of Conan and Rampaging Hulk and Howard the Duck. That would be great. I'd have all kinds of fun with that. So, but that's the comics that I grew up with, and which leads me into wondering, what were the comics that you grew up with?
So the very first comic book related thing I grew up with was Spanish VHS tapes of the X-Men animated series.
Oh, nice.
So obviously, as a 1-year-old or whatever, I couldn't understand them, but the visuals, Wolverine on screen, Cyclops with his optic blast, all that got me hooked. And then the Spider-Man cartoon at the same time. And then when I was a little kid, I was reading sort of anything that was out and about. But as I got older, my tastes have changed, and now my top 3 favorite comics are The Sensational She-Hulk by John Byrne, Monkey Man and O'Brien by Arthur Adams, and Excalibur, the British offshoot of X-Men.
All good books. All good books. I'm still waiting for somebody in CG UK to come on these things and tell me about these books that Alan Moore always talks about. It's like, oh yeah, we grew up with reading Robot Archie and like Robot Archie. And for an American, I'm like, Robot is that like Archie Andrews, but he's like the Terminator or something? Because you do have a comic book scene over there that's unique to the area that we don't have over here.
Yeah.
We stole 2000 AD because Judge Dredd shot a lot of people. And that's uniquely American appealing.
Yeah, exactly. the traditional British comics are sort of the Beano and Archie comics, but that was never the sort of thing I was into. Like Mark just said, all the 90s Marvel cartoons are what got me hooked on comic books in the first place. Particularly X-Men and Spider-Man. That's the sort of thing I go for.
Yeah, we had... God, I could go on and on about what happened with cartoons and animation from the 90s to now.
Oh boy, it's gone drastically downhill.
Oh, I've told this story on streams before, but my son was watching. He's 13 now. I guess he was 12 when this happened because it wasn't that long ago. They did this Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans movie special, and we were watching that. And it was during the show when they said, stay tuned after the show for a sneak preview of Thundercats Roar. And he's like, can I stay up and watch that? And I'm like, yeah, but let me show you something. And I had my iPhone out. I pulled up original Thundercats episode on YouTube. I was like, this is what it used to be when I was watching it. And he looks at that, and he looks at the screen, and he looks back down. He says, that sucks. I'm not watching that. I was like, yes, every parent should do this with every Cartoon Network.
Yes.
Like, let me show you Young Justice, young Padawan, and then look back at Teen Titans Go and tell me some more.
Yeah, so in my campaign tagline, it says, if you're a fan of Thundercats, you're going to love this book. That's the OG Thundercats,
Yes.
not that garbage you saw on TV.
Oh, we had Thundercats, we had Silverhawks. Yeah, yes, I was already an old man in the 90s. I'm only 53. Come on. I still feel 12. I mean, just until I try to run somewhere, and then my body's like, excuse me, we want to talk. But yeah, the 90s had the best animation and the best cartoons. I mean, even the humor stuff. We had Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain.
Oh yeah,
Freakazoid.
Pinky and the Brain, man, I love that show.
Oh, it was so intellectually written.
You know what? The way Chubb draws Tailless looks like he's straight out of Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as the adventures went, we had you had Spider-Man, but you also had and X-Men. But no one ever talks about the Hulk was also an animated series there for a couple
Oh, yeah.
and they brought She-Hulk in with that run. It was very, very good stuff. God, I got to find that on DVD now. I haven't seen the Hulk stuff on DVD. I wonder if they put it up yet.
That's another one I had a VHS tape of in Spanish. So, like, I've never heard a single line of that show that I've understood, but I've watched it all.
Yeah, you've got to get it in English. It'd be much more appreciated. Yes, Arrowberg, everything was created in Pittsburgh. We know this. and yes, Hulk the animated series was dark.
Yeah, he's right.
And I don't know how they did it in Spanish if you were watching the Spider-Mans and the Hulk, but it was always introduced by Stan Lee. So it was like, welcome, true believer. And he would tell you what was going to happen in the show and what happened after. Stan was that's the biggest problem that I always see with comics today, jumping right out of animation and right back into comics, is that we don't have, well, we do. The companies, the big two companies don't have a Stan Lee or a Dick Giordano or a Denny O'Neil or anybody who loves comics anymore. We have people out there who are like, we have to keep pumping out the IP so that we show use, so that we can make the money on the movies and the T-shirts and the lunch boxes. And there's no editorial direction on stories anymore, which is why we get what we get, and quite frankly, we deserve it because we keep buying it.
There's no one in charge of the big two or any big publishing company that has the passion for comic books that you need to put good books out. You need a passion for it because it's an art form.
And they just know that a large portion of the buying population is addicted. They're completists. We can't stand to have a hole in the collection. But it's like, we were 16 and they gave us high grade heroin and now they're down to like cutting it with bleach and powdered sugar, and we still got to have it even though it's not.
That's one way to put it. I tell you what, man, you just brought up Stanley. I had I met Stanley once. I went to London Comic Con in like 2015, 2016, I think. And Stanley was the main headliner. And I ended up getting my autograph, get a comic book autograph by him. But the weird encounter I had was had my head down in like a pamphlet or something, reading about the events that were on that day. Next thing I know, someone bumps me from behind, and I turn around to see what it was, and there's this little old man walking in front of me, walking past me. Next thing I know, big old security guard picks me up, lifts me off my feet, and moves me out the way because that was Stanley's entourage keeping me away from him. So Stanley has bumped me in the shoulder. That's my claim to fame.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've talked with him on the phone for an interview I did years and years ago. But I was at a convention in 88, 89, and he was there. I didn't get to see him, but I could see the effect he had on people. I remember I was in the big atrium. There was nothing going on here except this was where everybody milled about. And somebody had come out from getting their book signed, and he had just stepped out of the drawing of a nerd of comic bookdom. I mean, he had the tape on the glasses and the curly hair, and I probably had acne, but he knew me from nobody. He just walked past me. He just looks up at me, just rapturous, and says, "I just met Stan Lee. He signed my book," and he shows me the autograph. And I'm looking at the autograph. I'm like, wow, that's pretty. And it didn't matter because he was kept on going to the next guy who was with me. He's like, "I just met Stan Lee. He signed my book." I'm like, I don't know when he came down off of that cloud, but man, Stan Lee really had him touched for that day.
Oh, wow.
My wrench is going to be leaving soon. He's got to go to your wrench for Fragaboom too. He's interviewing Roy Thomas. Roy's making the rounds these days. He was just on Pop XP earlier today. I have to find out what he's doing and see if I can't get him on this show, right?
Yeah, big thank you to Heroin, bro, for posting all my links in the chat. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Heroinberg's got a great comic himself, which is called Heroinberg, by the way, and it's all female superheroes, and it's a book that will never leave mint condition, because if you've seen
drawings are that good, are they?
Well, the covers are that's like 150-pound stock paper, so it's like you can flip it. But so is page 1 and page 2 and page 3. It's like it's like the cover all the way through. It's fantastic. I don't know why you did that, but you stand out, man. And he's got a side venture with the whole thing. So it's the comic book Heroinberg, and then there's the live action video episodes of the women dressed up as these heroines that go through the fight scenes and act out things. So he's got like a TV show and a comic book, and they work together, a multimedia event. So give it up for Heroinberg, and follow him on Twitter, and go over to his channel too. You'll want to subscribe to some of that. And I think it's really cool that there's going to be a Merry Boys crossover. So because I'm a huge fan of their work too.
They'll be in a couple pages in this collection. Obviously, you're going to get the Merry Boys on the card and poster you'll receive when you sign up to the campaign. But remember that American Flag, not Daredevil crossover page I showed you?
Yes.
Well,
yes,
on the back cover of that, the Merry Boys are somewhere hidden in the crowd as well. So they're also on that piece.
Very, very good. Can't wait to get the course. It's going to be probably December before we actually see the book, right? I mean, if you're launching in 6 months.
I don't know about that. So we launch in 6 months. It'll be about July. 2 months later, we'll be finished with the funding days. So
that hits in September.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably. I'm going to shoot for October. We'll say October. That seems like a date I can hit.
All right. Well, good. That's earlier than December.
Yeah.
And, by that point, you're going to probably have so many stretch goals on the thing that you have to draw another mini comic and make a poster. And I know exactly who you need to talk to about some other things on this, too. We'll talk about that after the stream. And he's probably watching in the chat, waiting for me to bring it up, because I bring it up to everybody, but I'm going to bring it up to you outside the chat instead of inside the stream, because everybody else is tired of me talking about it, I'm sure. Is there anything else that we should know about this before we go here?
Yeah, just let me rehash real quick. What you're going to get in this book is every single Tailless story ever created. That's also every single comic book I've ever created. You're going to see the complete evolution of the artwork and the character all in one beautiful deluxe edition. And remember, let's get this project funded, because we'll instantly unlock the 7th mini comic, and that's a very special one, because that is the start of the first proper Tailless story. It's going to lead into the next campaign, which will be the first full-sized issue.
And this is going to be about 100 pages of comic book here. 50 pages of story, 50 pages of bonuses, not to mention the trading card and the fold-out poster, which is obviously going to happen because people are going to just to get that unlocked.
There's that. There's going to be a whole bunch of merchandise and bonus content. There's going to be so much in this campaign.
Very, very cool. And the campaign, the link to the campaign, the sign-up is in the description. It's the very first link. Want to remind everybody that there is the link here for Snowpiercer Season 1. We are going to give away a digital of that. And I'm going to start going over to the Rafflecopter page now to check in on that. And I'm not going to pick a winner because, we had people watching the show, but nobody chose to enter yet. So I guess Snowpiercer is not a popular show. I will set that aside. But if you want to take a couple of minutes here and just jump in there, odds are good you might be the winner because we just don't have any competition for it. And we'll also give a check in here on Omni. Still at 2110, so no movement there, but still 50 hours to go. $390. Probably people waiting till after the show. I don't blame them. They don't want to leave the stream.
Let's help out Omni, guys. Come on.
So it is 2 o'clock in the morning for you. You need to get some sleep because you probably got stuff to do in the morning, like job and work and things like that, I'm sure.
Grind starts all over again tomorrow. More streaming, more drawing. That's all I ever do.
Living the life. Well,
exactly.
Aria, I'm thankful that you came on the show with us tonight. Always appreciate having guests on. We would have no show if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for the folks in the chat. So we are thankful to everybody. Obligatory saying, if you haven't subscribed already, please do hit the subscribe. We have reached 2,900 watch hours as we continue our count up to 4,000, which is, of course, when you can finally start hitting those super chats that you're so desperately wanting to do. I know you want to give us money to read your stuff because I watch you do it with everybody else. So it's a thing. I don't know why, but I'll take it. So with that, we're going to say goodnight, and we do hope that you'll come back tomorrow when we talk with Luke Stone. Thursday night, we'll have Simon Simpothier, and then Friday, we have a special guest, Dorfus, who has a crowdfunder. She has not been around on stream, so this will be sort of her stream debut. And then Saturday night, the LCS guys will be back for their every 2 weeks show with us, talking about the retail industry from the front lines. Until